Hey, good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Almost good evening.
Yeah, it's about checks watch said
It's 5 minutes till
5 till
o'clock.
5. It's
Yeah.
5 till 5, and we were at Parazzi's
And
coffee shop.
it's still bright and sunny.
Yes.
I think winter's
Oh my
over.
god, it's so nice. Yes. Supposedly it's going to come back in like at the beginning of March,
I heard, yeah, there's another cool front coming in this week.
but we got a 1 week reprieve before
Mm-hmm.
he goes. Oh my god, this is amazing. What do you have?
I don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is?
But
I love this. This is
yummy.
yeah, this is good. So we're
It's
just
got cheese in mine.
really? Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's amazing. Yeah. And then you have what drink do you have? You have the
It's a pistachio frap.
pistachio frap, and I have the Harazi coffee, which actually isn't even coffee. It's like a real
It's the husk.
the husk.
Yeah.
Yes, the husk.
So this is the first time I'm trying this. We'll see.
Okay. Oh my god, that's amazing. You know, supposedly Apple's going to be building a manufacturing plant here in Houston.
Oh wow, really?
Yep. We're going to become the next China. As far as like manufacturing capability.
So wait, where are they stationed? Where are they normally?
No, well, they used to build in Foxconn in China.
Oh.
And it was a major operation, and then I guess coronavirus happened, and then the Vietnam summit happened. So now if you buy a lot of iPhone and iPhone accessories,
Mhm.
if you look at where it's manufactured, it'll say Vietnam or India, or even think Thailand now.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
basically, yeah. So
Okay.
they shifted that, but now because of the tariffs, Apple said that they're gonna start building a factory here in Houston, and they're gonna move all the manufacturing here.
Is that why they're clearing out all the land around the
I
area?
think so. Like they already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. They knew way ahead of time.
Yeah,
I think they knew this like 5 years ahead of time.
I think so. Yeah, they knew. Yeah, they're just enacting it. I mean, it only makes sense. It's the only reason why they would be building. They have all these warehouses built up. They have all this stuff ready to go. It's like they were building it all through Biden, the Biden administration. I mean, it was crazy. Houston's going to get crazy, just in general.
I think so.
Like Houston is going to just swallow up Austin, and then it's just going to be like one big city,
The melting pot.
a melting pot. And then like 100 years from now, we're going to have a big dome, like a big circular dish, like.
Oh, so you have your underground, your
Mhm.
middle, and then your top level.
Yeah.
Of,
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
do we want to live?
Yeah, because like people who can afford to are gonna like live on top, where the sun is. And people on the bottom are gonna have to. Well, you know that was like Final Fantasy VII. I think it was Midgar, the city. That was it. It was the dish. They had the and people at the bottom would take the train up to the top
So
and work, and then they would take the train back down into the slums.
slums. But then there's so many storylines now with underground lifestyle, underground living.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of odd because it's something that all the movies have talked about, and now it's kind of like real.
Right.
Was it Elon has like a underground tunnel already?
There's some type of fascination with like wanting to go underground. I don't know why.
One time.
Garage is an underground. Yeah, you want to try one of mine? You want to try it. You want to try one of mine? Well, it was a nice day. I finally got the Camaro out. The
I
Camaro.
saw that.
Happy I
How
wheeled.
does it drive?
Oh, it drives great.
Yeah,
You know-
you spend a whole lot of time on it.
Oh my god. I'm just happy I wheeled it and fall off. It was when I was like, before I really got on it, I was like, okay, I'm going to take it nice and easy. But then, you know, there was traffic coming. I had to gun it to get out onto the main road. So I was like, okay, I
It
won't
works.
take it easy.
It's fine.
I'm just going to go. Yeah.
So
It's very roadable. It's nice.
yeah,
Yeah. I think they call it streetable. It's streetable. So. Anyway.
so lots of things happening around the world today or this week, right? Because
I took a week off. I called out. I'm glad I did. There was actually that near miss at Chicago.
I heard about
Yeah, I was just like, oh boy, here we go. But, you know, I feel like that happens all the time, but right now they're putting it on the news.
Yeah, they
You
are.
know, people are like obsessed. They want to hear about weird things happening with the airplanes.
Yeah.
So, of course.
And this one's a commuter. Was it a commuter jet with a private jet?
It was a Southwest jet
Yeah.
with a commercial, with a private. Yeah, I think it was like a net jets or something. Like one of those like higher jet, you know, like one of the smaller ones. And I guess the guy just got confused and got cleared onto the runway or across the runway, you know. But we don't
telling
really
you.
know. But I think that guy's gonna have some explaining to do for sure.
What's the organization? NTSA?
NTSB.
NTSB.
Well, the NTSB is like
They're busy.
when you have the yeah, but that's really gonna go to like FAA. So what's gonna happen is like so like the pilot who flies that, he's gonna have to you know, first of all the tower is gonna report to the FAA, and then the pilot is gonna have to file what's known as an ASAP. Oh, I don't think he even has ASAP protection. You see,
The
so
private jet? The private,
yeah.
Oh.
You see, when you work for the airlines, you have what's called ASAP, like Air Safety Advisory Protocol. I think that's what it is. But it's like an extra layer of protection. So what you do is you file an ASAP, and then you just, you know, it goes to committee, and then basically your union handles it for you in lieu of like you handling it. So it's like an extra layer of protection. So stuff that would generally get you like talked to, you just file an ASAP report and it gets filed. Now, if the ASAP isn't accepted or like it's voted out by committee, they can also do that. But that's something you enjoy at the airline. When you are like a private jet operator, I don't think you have ASAP protection. So you have to go straight to like, yeah, I mean, you have to go straight to.
The interview process, right? Directly with the FAA?
No, you would have to file. God, it's not ASAP, but it's a. Oh my God, I forget what it's called. But there's a form that you would file with NASA. It's kind of like a NASA form, and what you would do is you would be like you would file the form, you would send it, and then you would get a copy saying, okay, we've acknowledged that this is something that's happened. You have your receipt. If you basically, it's like a voluntary reporting services. So instead of being like, oh man, I hope nobody called me out on this, you can file it, and then they'll give you a receipt. And then if there's any FAA action, you can give them that receipt saying, hey, I filed a report on this.
Okay.
But in this case, I don't think he's going to have that protection with something like this blatant. So what's going to happen is the FAA is going to like give him a note, like an official notice saying, hey, you're under investigation. And then they would give him the pilot's bill of rights, you know, and say, hey, you know, we're formally investigating you. It would probably be a good time to get a lawyer.
Would that be like a personal lawyer or?
You would have to get an FAA lawyer.
Oh wow.
Somebody to just drill
That's
down
gonna be
with it.
expensive.
It is, but you know, between that and keeping his job, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for pilots to have to like hire $40,000-$50,000 lawyers to be able to, you know. So it's a big thing, you know. You got to keep your head on the swivel. So yeah, if you're not feeling it, don't show up to work.
So in reality, it's better to work for a company, a big company. airline
Well,
company.
it's better to work for the airlines.
Yeah.
Because you have the protections. You have a lot of protections that you don't get at the smaller commercial operator level. That's through your union. So, like for example, when I had my medical issue, I was able to use AMAS, Air Medical Advisory Services, and the union paid for that. Whereas if you're, like, let's say, a private operator and you're flying at the private level, that would all be out of your pocket. And that's the thing that they don't talk about. Now, you know, if you're making the money, I mean, you're fairly confident that, you know, nothing's going to happen, or you're going to have to contact a lawyer anytime soon. Then yeah, definitely, you can definitely go for some of the commercial pilot lifestyle and try to see how that works out. But yeah, so there was that. There was that near miss. Near hit, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. I mean, it's better to be near hit than to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it looks like the whole government employees are getting either laid off or fired or
Oh my God.
whatever's happening.
Yeah, you're right. I was at a coffee shop this morning. I was doing my online learning, and there was a lady who actually came in, and she asked if they were hiring. This is an older lady. She's got to be like in her mid-50s. And she volunteered that. She's like, yeah, I'm in the government. I'm in HR, and I'm worried that I'm going to get cut loose. Nothing's happened yet.
I mean, if it's going to happen, she would have gotten the email, I think, directly from who, like Elon?
Yeah. Yeah, from Doge.
Yeah, which they're actually looking at that to see if that's a valid way to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So
the whole thing is just so odd.
It is odd.
You know, because it's like you're getting an email from an outside entity saying, "Hey, you need to tell me what you did." What if what you do is classified?
Exactly.
You know, it's like you want everybody in the government to email a private organization and tell them what you did. It's one of the biggest data harvesting ploys ever.
Well, and then also, aren't they all under the union, the government employees?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think the union leader is saying, "Don't answer it. Don't answer those emails." Because they're trying to get to the validity of those emails.
Which is probably like the legal thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, almost like if you answer the email, you waive your rights.
Yeah, you're kind of volunteering everything.
But if you exercise your amendment, your First Amendment, or you exercise your right to remain silent, right? Because if you think about it, all you got to do at the end of the day is just not say anything.
Yeah.
Don't sign anything. Don't say anything. Don't do anything.
Right.
Just, let them show you the door, and then that's it. And then you worry about your repercussions after that.
Right. I think usually those kind of things, right now, I've been like reporting it as phishing emails. Mm-hmm. So it goes directly to the IT department. It's
like a phishing email.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Doge is like basically giving them the equivalent of phishing email. Tell them, oh, hey, justify your presence. I mean, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, in a way, though, I can kind of see what they're trying to do, too. If work from home, or this whole concept of work from home was codified into the government. And, because this whole, COVID era work from home, or this whole idea of, you're working from home, you're remoting in.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there's a lot of people, not doing it.
Right. Or they have their second jobs.
Which you can't do. So I think it's a very visceral, very political situation because that may be what they're going for, but then at the same time they're saying, there's both angles you can work. The critics can be like, no, you're going after the hardworking people. This is a phishing operation.
Yeah.
You guys aren't legit. And then you could also say, no, we're trying to go after the people that are sitting at home collecting 2 paychecks, not working.
Well, they're also saying it's a cost savings. So if they already have people that are voluntarily quitting, retiring, taking their early retirement with their severance pay,
right,
then they're not going to replace them. Those positions are gone. So it is a cost savings for the government. But then you said Trump might give everybody $5,000.
Give the money back?
Yeah.
So odd.
It is odd. I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either. Because I'll just ask for it back later.
Sorry.
They did with the PV. If they try to send me $5,000, I'll be like, no, that's okay, buddy. I've seen this trick already.
That's when you switch accounts and put it onto another account.
Or what they do is, if you had an account with the government, if you already have a loan, they'll just apply your $5,000 to that loan. So somebody took this like $150,000 loan.
Debt reduction.
They'll be like,
solved.
yeah. They'll be like, oh, thanks. I really needed that, you know.
But yeah, it is definitely crazy times right now.
It's different.
No one knows what's happening. No one in the government knows what's happening.
I mean, I'm pretty ambivalent about it. I was around when the 2008 crisis happened, and everybody was getting fired except for government. And I remember everybody was like, no, you need to go work for government because it's the most secure job. And it's very possible that we might very well have people working in government right now that got into government
Because of that.
in 2008. And now here we are, they're about to like
Go
retire.
through it again.
And now they're going through it again. And I would say this is unique because government's getting fired, where before it was always be the civilians getting fired, you know,
Right.
or private sector.
So where do they go?
Who?
What can they do? The government employees.
Where do they go?
Where can they go?
Well, I guess they're going to go farm and go work the fields that... I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, I really think that's what's going to happen. I really think... Because you were asking me earlier, like... Because they're talking about, like, there's no more, Juans and Pedros to pick the apples, and, and who's going to do that? And I think there's a narrative there where, like, a lot of these, like, unemployed government employees are going to, like, end up doing farm work to make ends meet if they don't even have degrees or they don't even have degrees sufficient enough to find. I mean, it's really scary when you think about it, but I mean, you gotta think about it. There's probably like a scenario there where like you got like a government employee who's like who doesn't even have like she can't even write an email of what she accomplished last year, much less last week, right? Collecting a full paycheck, work from home, being an influencer on Instagram. Then she like gets fired,
And
she's like too old to work anywhere else.
Yeah. What's that? What are the not memes, but those little reels that people do? It's like too old to strip.
But too old to strip.
Yeah, but then like they need to still make some money.
Oh, too young to retire, too old to something like that.
I mean, that's what it's come down to. It's like everyone's trying to figure out
what the hustle is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to just fill in the gap.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's having to like figure it out because now that all the deportations are happening, and now that there's a big crackdown on illegal immigration, it's like there's no more like a support. Like those people can't be supported anymore. There's no more support network for like the what they call the NEETs. They're not in education, employment, or training. So you got like a bunch of NEETs out there, right? That's a term. That's like a term that's thrown around on the internet.
Okay.
So you got NEETs, you got influencers, right? You got people that like perpetually pull on their debt to like travel and taste food and talk on the internet, kind of like how we are.
And hopefully they'll get sponsorship.
And maybe they'll get sponsorship, but they don't actually work jobs. They don't have careers, right? They're trying to do it full time. And in any like normal country, you wouldn't even be able to pull this off. But in today's times, you have like this armada of like undocumented, unlicensed people with no identity that are doing all the nitty gritty work, supporting that network, so all these people can sit around and still be supported. And like you said, they're pulling their disability, right? So they're pulling, but now like the disability is getting pulled, or at least they're reassessing everything.
Yeah,
so
to
everybody
make sure that they really are disabled.
Right, exactly.
Someone was telling me that there are some, I believe this, there are some people that are still pulling Social Security on someone that's already passed.
Oh, I totally believe it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally believe it. Well, they said that, right? Like, they said that they were forcing somebody to take the check. Mm-hmm. Like, the person was deceased, and then they were like, like, for example, when your father passed, right?
It was automatic. They stopped it.
They stopped it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the check didn't start going to your mom?
We had to reinitiate it. So it wasn't automatic.
Okay.
So his Medicare, Social Security, everything stopped.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I think the funeral home contacts Social Security.
Right.
So when that happened, we were like, okay, the next step is my dad had the bigger check and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped hers and then flipped the switch over to my dad's Social Security.
Okay.
And that's going to be until term. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was a way to like deceive the government because before we even submitted, called
Yeah.
Social Security, funeral home already had it tied to it.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like a scenario where like the body's just being hidden. like she.
So they're keeping them alive in a
Yeah.
way?
No, well, like Weekend at Bernie's kind of deal, where like grandma passes away and nobody says anything. They just kind of like, you know,
So like,
park her in the basement and just keep receiving her check. You know.
Put
No,
her in a
I mean I
rocking
know it's
chair?
pretty brutal, but like, do you think there's like something like that going on? Because you hear stories all the time like that.
Well,
Like,
I've also heard stories where they do take a deceased person's Social Security number,
mhm, identity. Then.
identity, and
Yeah.
then someone that's undocumented gets a hold of it.
Mhm.
And that's how, because they're working.
Right.
So it's still documented as, oh, this person's getting a paycheck.
Right.
So it's going to keep continuing, even though they're like over 100 years old.
Right.
But no one's checking that out. That it just flows through.
Yeah.
So they may not be claiming Social Security, but by the time the undocumented person is ready to retire,
Yeah.
then they can claim.
Right.
So even though that's not them.
Mhm.
So that means they're building up that Social Security amount. So by the time that they retire, they have theirs that they worked, and then they have the one that was deceased.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
So it's kind of like you're
Yeah,
stacking.
because you work into it, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even really know the retirement system, but like, because I talked to some of the people, because I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to retire.
They're like, you can't.
Yeah, but they're saying it's like you got to take the amount of years you worked plus your age, and then it has to add to 65. It's the
Yes.
point system.
Yeah.
So of course I'm doing the math. I'm like, I still got like 13 years, 14
Actually,
years.
I think you're already in it because let's say you were already paying for the.
I was paying into it at 10 years old.
Yes. So by that time, until how many points, you're already part of Social Security. Like, you can stop working, and then once you hit 65, you qualify whatever you worked into. Now you don't want to because you didn't have that much money
Right.
at the very beginning. So that's why so many people tend to like work a little bit more so that they can get a higher wage.
Mhm.
And then based off of that, that's how much your Social Security is going to be.
Right.
So even though I started probably like at 16,
Yeah.
but it was like part-time.
Yeah.
So it was minimal. So it's the ones that really count is when you started working full-time.
See, I was working full time at 10 years old,
Oh.
and my parents were paying into it.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful they did that.
Yeah.
And they just didn't like full on exploit me. They only halfway exploited me.
Halfway.
Halfway exploited me. Yeah, but no, they paid into my Social Security. I'm really shocked because I get my SSI statement. It shows I've been paying into it since like '97,
Oh,
and,
wow.
I do the math on that. And no, since '92, and I was born in '82. You know.
Well, they'll probably look at your record and see if like this is not right.
Well, I mean, it is right though, because I was paying into it. It just maybe it wasn't legal for me to work, but
Right.
that was. But you know, we qualified for a hardship license at 15, so we could drive. You know?
Oh.
So, you know, I'll fight for it. But I remember going on the SSI website
Mhm.
and trying to check my account and
Yeah.
seeing like using the tool.
Mhm.
Like if I retire right now, what would I get? And and I think what ended up happening was. I think it ended up being something like, well, I had to verify my identity. I had to log in,
Yeah.
and there was like some chick who was probably getting fired, but there was some chick who was like on her laptop at like 2 a.m. and she
Asking
was ready.
questions?
And no, she just had to look at me and verify my identity.
Oh wow.
I'm for real. Yeah, 2 a.m. Like I was at the hotel. I log in. It has to identify, and it gets me over to this lady. And she was not about superfluous conversation. I try to say hi, how you doing? Are you doing awesome? She was just like straight up. She looked at me, you're good. Boom, connection cut. A connection approved.
Well, you know what though? When I tried to do that online, there was a cutoff, so I could look at my data past 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And so they said, please come back tomorrow morning
Okay.
when it's like business hours.
Interesting.
So
Do you think they're doing that to cut down on like the fraud and the hacking? Or
maybe,
Okay.
but I thought it was weird that they would.
That a website's going to have business hours?
Yeah.
I remember running into that before. My boss was like, I got to log in at like 8 a.m. on January the 1st because the system doesn't work or something. I don't know. It was just crazy. People are crazy. Yeah, I just think about all the old stuff I had to go through.
It was pretty evil that they tortured you.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Exploitation. And the thing, there's like people working that don't even work and they get a paycheck. And then I'm like working and I'm actually working and I don't get a paycheck. I still get fired. I was like, what the hell, man? It's like people were like, no, you can't fire them. And I'm like, I got fired multiple times. You know, it's fair game. So if you fire one person, it's okay, but if you fire 10,000 people, it's not okay. Like, but if you fire 10,000 people over 10,000 days, that's fine. But if you do it all at once, please, man, it's ridiculous.
It's a red flag. So, yeah, that's been the topic. A lot of people, they're either oblivious to what's going on. I have friends that I know that have no clue what's going on with the government because they don't watch the news.
Yeah, they don't work in the government.
They don't.
Yeah.
But then all of that affects all of us.
Does it?
I think it does because now...
Well, government did pick up a lot of the spending from 08, from the 08 crisis. And there is an argument that never stops. So if the government isn't spending, then who is?
Someone's leaking money out, and they're trying to find the guy or the person that's taking some money, some of the funds.
So this is what I think. I think it could be like a replacement thing going on. Okay, so one of the things I was always, we were a big debt economy, right? So people, when this country creates debt, or like when somebody like makes debt, against themselves, buys a car, racks up their credit card, the banks can loan out money on that debt. So there's secured debt and unsecured debt. So for example, if I buy a car, and I create a debt of $25,000, the bank can then use that $25,000 note as the 10% baseline, and they can turn around. They can make a or a 12. I think they can make okay. We'll do simple math. $10,000 note. They can use that and make a $100,000 loan based off of you buying a $10,000 car. Because your $10,000 debt, they can use that debt based off of your leverage, your credit, as 10% to sign out another loan for $100,000. So because you bought a car for $10,000, the net debt created was $110,000.
Okay.
And so $110,000 was created just by the power of people signing the signature. Now, if you think about the compounding effect, so you get people that have Visa, MasterCards, they run them. Every time you run it, you run a debt. That creates wealth. But to be able to create that, you have to have people physically swiping those credit cards. And that's why I thought like immigration was a big thing. Like the both legal and illegal immigration was a big thing. Because the more bodies you had swiping credit cards and creating debt, the more wealth that the U.S. was accumulating. So I thought that there was a big deal. And then, of course, with all the projects that we're doing, like the war in Ukraine and whatnot,
Yeah.
they have to, so we just needed people to like, there's your credit card, there's your phone, go swipe it. Don't worry about the bill. We just, if everybody owes like all this money, that's actually debt. So we're a debt-ridden economy.
Yeah.
That's why we're always in debt, but we always seem to have money. Now,
And that's what a lot of generations they talk about is you can afford any kind of home, any kind of car, you just get a loan.
yeah,
You just have debt.
yeah,
That's like the norm for the U.S. economy.
exactly.
So I'm not the norm then.
We're not the norm. Yeah, if you're out of debt, you're not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they would argue that you're now individually you're okay, but yeah, you would be out of the norm.
Yeah.
And they actually punish you for that, right?
Right.
So if you if you pay
Bad
off,
credit
if
or
you
lower
pay,
credit.
well, you don't have an account. So
Yeah.
if you pay off all your debt, but you don't have an account open,
Mm-hmm.
So I think what they're trying to do now is, there's this big crackdown on illegal immigration. You physically have less people spending money. Who's going to make up for that?
Other countries?
I think it's going to be the AI robots. Because if you think about it, if once they train AI robots to process credit cards, buy audiobooks, buy video games, buy products, they're making paychecks, they're spending the paychecks. But it's not real people, it's just AI. But they're processing the money just like a real person would be doing it.
So would they be processing the money plus making money?
Yeah. So instead of there being a person, you would have an AI robot, an identity, powered by AI. It would have its own bank account. It would be working its own work from home job, work from the computer.
Mm-hmm.
It would be making money, and it would be spending money. It would be doing the exact same thing a U.S. citizen would be doing, keeping it circulating. Yeah, it's kind of scary, but I think that's what they're working on.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But I think that's where we're headed.
So that's why they're trying to kill me off.
Oh, you mean with the fall? Is that what you're talking about?
The fall. I was in combat.
You had a nasty. Yeah, you had a pretty nasty. You had a pretty nasty fall there.
Just see what the other guy looks like.
Well, the idea is you want the other person to look worse than you.
Yeah, I took a tumble.
Yeah.
A few days ago.
It seems like it. Yeah, because we were supposed to meet up.
Yeah.
After.
Actually, we weren't, and then I got injured, and I was like, "Help me," because I'm in pain.
That's right.
It was pretty bad. It's hard to imagine my injuries was just from a simple fall, and I really think.
So what exactly happens?
Okay, so I can give you the scenario of starting from my office.
Okay.
Because everything led up to that.
Okay.
So I was planning to leave the office at 4 o'clock, and so we were going to do the escape room. Mm-hmm. It was a team building thing at work. So I was going to leave at 4, and plenty of time. The session started like 5:50, close to 6. Like, it's fine. I'll beat traffic. I'll get there. I'll window shop. So I'm about to leave. I get 2 of the accountants coming up to me back to back, asking for things.
Right.
And these are simple questions to answer. And so by the time I got out, it was like 4:30. Mm-hmm. And at that time, one of the streets was closed. Right. I couldn't get out of one of the back ways that I would have gone out of.
Okay.
So I had to go all the way around, do a U-turn to get onto the freeway, but then the freeway was backed up because there was a major accident. Mm-hmm. So I avoided getting on the freeway. I kept going to the theater. It was backed up, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then as I was passing one of the lights, one of those light up signs said, "Oh, major accident clear, you're good to go." So
Right.
I got on, and going there was fine. Now, finding the parking lot, everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the roof of the garage, one of the garage. So I parked near the elevator. There was like 2 elevators, one on each side of the garage. So I parked on one of them. I got out. I went to the elevator, and it had a sign that says "out of order. Please use the other elevator."
Right.
So I turned around, and I guess I missed a small little step.
So it was the fact that the elevator was out of order. If the elevator had been working,
I would have gone straight.
You would have gone straight, but because the elevator wasn't working, so
I turned around.
You turned around.
I missed a step.
Okay.
And then after that, my feet just got tangled up with like myself, I guess. But it wasn't like a simple fall. It was, I swear, it was like 10 full seconds of me stumbling, trying to catch myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I was slow motion, standing still, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, I feel like I got pushed down.
Oh, no.
And then the way I got pushed down, I ended up sliding on my hands. So I'm bruised, like I've got cuts on my hands. And I didn't realize how bad it was because I fell flat. Mm-hmm. And when I got up, it took me a while to get up because I couldn't believe what happened.
Yeah.
So I got up, like, my fingers like all bloody. Like, okay, that's fine. But then I feel like my legs were like scratched up.
Right.
So I was scared to look at it because I figured, I bet you my jeans are torn. Now it's bloody. Mm-hmm. And look down, there's nothing, like no signs of a scratch on my jeans. My jeans are perfect.
Huh.
So I'm getting up. I, pick myself up. I think that's when I walked towards my car to move my car to the other side.
Okay.
So then I moved it, and then I messaged you. I messaged also the girls that I was meeting up with. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, "What's going on?" I didn't realize what time it was either. It was close to like...
when you were supposed to start.
Yes. I was like, oh no, how am I going to walk all the way over there because I'm hurt.
Yeah.
So I waited for one of my other coworkers to come up and like meet me up at the garage, and we walked together. Uh-huh. So by the time we got there, it was like May. I think I was already like late.
Yeah.
They were waiting for us.
Right.
So I'm like toughing it out. Like everything hurts.
Right.
But I'm just like going with the flow and everything. Afterwards, that's when you came to the restaurant.
Right.
And I sat down. And that's when I noticed my leg was swelling up.
Yeah, right.
Right? So it wasn't like a normal swelling. It was like a bump.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Because I touched it and I was like, whoa, are you sure your leg's not broken?
Exactly. And I was like, no way, because I can walk.
Right.
It hurts, but I can walk.
Mm-hmm.
And then me being worried about like, oh my gosh, it's like internal bleeding. Is this going to cause like a pulmonary embolism where the blood clots and then like
you're
close
like,
to my
TikTok.
So I was like, I knew like the hospital was like next door. Mm-hmm. I was like, do I need to go? Do I feel faint? What's wrong with me?
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I toughed it out, I ate, and then I left.
Right.
So when I got home, I was just like, there's no way, I can't tell my mom. Mm-hmm. She's going to freak out. She's going to tell me to go to the hospital. But then, so I didn't show her. But I told her to do the prayers on me because I was in pain.
Right.
So she did it, and then also I had to make sandwiches for her job for the next day. So I was like, I'm like doing whatever I can, not using my pinky. Because I didn't realize how important this pinky was.
Well, that's amazing, right? It's like one part of the body, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember I went to church one time and they were like, "Oh, one part of the body is as important as like all the parts of the body." I was like,
you
"Yeah,
don't realize
whatever."
how much when you don't have it. So that was that. The next morning it was still swollen. And I had you do the prayers, so it sounds good. And I was just like, what do you think? Like, do I need to go to the doctor? Do I?
Yeah, it was pretty significant. I mean,
no.
I would say no, yeah.
But everyone else said no, you're fine because it's not like you injured your shoulder. Because I heard your shoulder has all of your arteries, and that can kill you.
Mm.
So do your best not to like injure your shoulders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with the leg, it should be fine as long as it's not broken or fractured.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have any blood vessels or blood clots that like.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
So
you know,
it's been a few days, so I'm still alive.
It's going down. Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's intense. And you've never fallen before, huh? Yeah, it's probably a good thing you didn't like break your leg, right? Because that happens to people. They fall and they break their leg.
Yeah, you know? But I've fallen a few times. Like I've fallen down a set of stairs before.
Yeah.
And it was still concrete too. Again, concrete.
Yeah.
And popped right back up.
Yeah,
it was like,
no problem.
Yeah, that one I didn't even like get bruised up. I don't think. But yeah, I've been lucky, I guess. Yeah. Or is this like a sign that's telling me?
I think it's a lot of things because you said your coworkers have been falling too, right? So this is like the week of falling. Like your boss took a tumble.
My boss took a tumble.
And then somebody else took a tumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you know, it's really odd.
And it's all women. They're not men.
Oh, really?
It's all women that are falling.
Interesting. I wonder what else is falling. Society is falling.
My hair. My hair is falling.
Nah, you're alright.
But yeah, that was the weirdest thing because I could have sworn it felt like a shove, like a push, like on that last part where I slammed into the pavement.
Well, you know, we talked about that, right? Or I didn't really talk about it, but I talked to the AI about it, and it says, you know, it floated the whole temporal rift idea. Like you walked through the rift or the warble. You know, you just happen to. Like right when you,
I got pushed.
Oh, you know what? I bet it was the unpredictability, right? So there was something following you, and then you got to the elevator. It was out of order, and you immediately turned around. But whatever was following you was behind you.
They didn't expect that.
And so that you went through the rift. You made contact with it, and then you got tumbled.
Yeah.
I bet that's what happened.
Oh, that's so odd.
Yeah, there was something following you. Because when you made that turn, when you got to that elevator that was out of order, I mean, you probably made that turn suddenly, right?
Yeah.
You just didn't because I know how you are, right? You're on a mission. But but for real, like you're in a hurry, you're rushing, you see the sign, you immediately about face, right?
Yeah.
But if something was following you and it didn't anticipate you making that quick move, then you walked right through it. And that's exactly what the AI said. The AI said that you might have had like a spirit or like some type of
I ran into.
You ran into it.
But the thing is, the injury though, it's the injury that surprises me because
the severity of it.
Yes, it's almost like a car accident.
Yeah, like the injury that you have is not proportional. The injury that you have is not proportional to the fall, right? Because you guarded yourself, right?
Yeah.
So you made impact on the hands, so you shouldn't have really banged yourself up. You know?
Yeah, I don't understand it. So.
And then why would it be one leg? Why wouldn't it be both legs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really odd.
Yeah, my other knee and ankle kind of hurt, but not like it's not bruised.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes it's all about like taking the hit for somebody else too. I'm a big believer in that, especially when like, so like my buddy David, right? So yeah, because I was driving up there to go meet you because you had told me about your leg incident, and I was like going up there to like give you moral support, and then my other buddy David contacted me about this girl in Russia, and she had just got into a car accident. So
maybe
I wonder if like there was like a little bit of like taking the hit for somebody else.
Yeah.
Or kind of like when I ended up in the hospital and they ended up having a stroke on the same day that I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. I do sometimes believe like when people are spiritually linked, you know, and that's a part of healing. Like, oh my God, that could have killed you. But instead it like traveled down the line. You know, everybody shared the burden of that hit.
So that you didn't die.
Or in this case, she didn't die.
Yeah.
Some random girl which is very important. Like, which is why like relationships and who you choose to be with, I think is very important, especially when you end up taking hits, hits for an extended family member. You know?
Am I going to have a relationship with that girl? We've got a connection.
You know, what they talk like 3 degrees, 9 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
But it was a crazy, traumatic thing that happened.
Well, I also came out with a different reason also. Right? On Sunday when we did the prayer, and then I did the big prayer for you, and then while I was administering it, I came up with the I don't know, it came to my mind that, you know, I've been pretty negligent with like seeking out people to give a Sasuke to, and, you know, because of work and everything. So I felt like you being injured was like a reminder.
Pulling you back in.
Well, yeah, kind of. You're right, because it's like you got injured and that gave you the opportunity to administer a Sasuke again. And remember, like, hey, this is what I can do. This is what you should be doing. Like, yeah, work and everything's important. Paying bills, of course, and yeah, Trump's in charge and all this stuff's happening. But at the same time, like, you have the capability to, like, heal people. So heal, you know? And I feel like I got reminded of that with your injury, and then it was like, because the closest person to me, right? You get hurt, and then, you know, got to do it.
So, but I do feel much better though.
It looked amazing. Yeah, I'm surprised because it looked like it. So
it still looks bad.
Was it? Well, of course, it's gonna yellow up. Was that yellow or was that clear skin?
No, that was purple.
Purple.
So it's like a purple.
It's gonna go through the colors of the rainbow. The colors of the rainbow. So.
If it turns black, I will be very scared.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, and then my other coworker, she was telling me, this is before the whole trauma. She was like, "Oh yeah, you had that burnt toast theory," and I was like, "What is that?"
You told me about the burnt toast theory. Yeah.
I never.
Oh,
heard
that's
of that.
right. That's you paraphrased it. You said by you burning your toast in the morning, you delay the accident, or you avoided the major accident.
Yeah, so I avoided that car accident that was on the road that was leading into the freeway that I was supposed to get onto.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was like,
that.
yeah. So she said, yeah, it's that's probably what saved you.
Yeah.
You didn't get into that major accident. So then my mind is thinking, well, this is more like Final Destination because it didn't get me there, but this could have gotten me. Like,
it's following you around.
It's one of those things that you don't see it, and there happened to be no one there. Like, this is the garage parking where it's for that Lifetime Fitness. Mm-hmm. The people are working out, coming in and out. At that particular time, all the way until I got to my car, there was no one there.
Right.
And then as soon as I moved my car, you had construction workers coming down the elevator. You had like people that were working out, going in and out of the gym. I'm like, come on. Not that would have mattered, but that's why it was such an odd experience.
Gotcha.
You know? I don't know. And then you said maybe you died. So
maybe you died. And then you like woke up in a different reality, right?
Like, well,
that was a heavy conversation.
That was because it made me wonder, like, well, then how come you see me if I died?
That was a heavy conversation.
Yeah. So. It kind of bugged me yesterday. It's like I was trying to think.
A little bit. You were thinking about it, yeah, because you messaged me at like midnight.
Yeah.
You were like,
so like,
did I die? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. we're talking unless you. But then I had my dreams. Yeah, because I woke up with my dreams this morning. Right?
I had my dreams.
Yeah, I've been having dreams like every night.
Yeah, they're kind of chaotic too.
Well, they're not the good dreams that I had. I mean, they're not nightmares, but they're definitely like. There's stuff definitely going on, and I'm definitely doing things, and it's definitely. I think the undertone is like I'm not in control really in these latest dreams. There's like situations or things going on where I'm not like properly equipped to deal with it at the time or whatever, you know. So I don't know. I think it's maybe a sign of change. I think we're all going through some changes. I think but you know, I've noticed that. Like around like the February-March time frame, I noticed dreams usually get pretty intense.
Oh.
Yeah, I think late February, March. I think that's a big dream time for everybody.
Huh,
I think the weather
interesting.
changes. I think it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've never thought of it that way.
Well, I keep my diary, and I see the fact that like on this time last year or 2 years ago, around this time, I was also having a bunch of dreams.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and not to forget, 3 years ago this time, I was still recovering.
Mm,
I was still in my recovery period.
that's right.
22, 23, 20. Yeah, so really 3 years, but really 2 years. Because,
It took a while.
22,
to,
23, 24. Well, depending on how you count, 2022, 2023, 2024. So, yeah, 3 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, it took like 6 months, 8 months. And it was like a coin flip whether I get my. There's guys that it took them like a year and a half to get their medical.
Oh,
Guys who
wow.
have had a bunch of issues.
Yeah. Well, you said it was because some of them actually had to get their vaccinations, even though they didn't want to, but because of work, they were required to get their vaccinations.
Mhm.
And then in the aftermath of that was they're having side effects from it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's been happening to a few guys.
But you didn't, and you still got.
Yeah, I did it, and I still got it. Right? Yeah.
You still got the
Well,
side
that
effects.
was all during Biden's winter of death, right? That was back when like 2022, and Biden was like, "Get your vaccine, or you're gonna die."
Yeah.
And I'm really convinced they will re-release something into the.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple of theories of what happened. One theory was something got re-released. I think there was another theory though, that I had on why I got sick. I think part of it. I think it was also like I took the hit from my brother.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because during that week, my brother he had COVID, and he almost
Yeah, he has severe. Respiratory.
he had severe respiratory, and then I did the salvation service at the shrine that the church taught me to do, and then he healed, and then 3 days later I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
So I think there was like a thing where I might have taken a hit from it. Which the more I think about it, I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. To think that like we just feel like that was 2022, like we almost died, and yet here we are, just
Right.
like
Well, back then also you didn't know what was the outcome of the whole pandemic.
Yeah,
Like there was no tomorrow.
yeah, exactly.
And so I think that kind of triggered everyone to kind of act the way they are,
Mm-hmm.
which is don't follow rules. Just be yourself because there might not be a tomorrow.
Yeah, it was really day by day.
Yeah. So, and now we're going through the same thing, but kind of different.
But with what?
With the way the economy is, with the way the
Well, it does. Yeah, like the hey, send an email. Tell them what you did. Yeah, somebody mentioned on the internet, and I don't know if it's like quite a one-to-one, but somebody said something about how then these government workers need to send out an email explaining like what they did.
yeah.
The similarity to that being like a mandate for the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you better get your vaccine or you're fired. And in this case, like, hey, you better send out this email or you're, it's like it's different, but it's almost the same
But
thing.
it's the same kind of
It's the same kind of thing. It's like you're being asked to do something you may not want to do, that you're not sure if you should do it, but you have like this really omnipotent force telling you need to do it or you're fired.
Yeah.
But you don't even really know the full thing behind it,
Exactly.
which is very similar to what the vaccine mandate is. Hey, we need you to take this vaccine that you may not fully understand what it is, but if you want to keep your job, the tragedy is a lot of people getting fired, they probably took the vaccine for the job that they're
That's
getting
true,
fired
yeah.
from anyway.
Yeah.
Which
just
goes
caught
to
up
show when somebody wants you to take the fucking vaccine, you don't take that shit. I mean, true story or true story, dude.
So don't email.
I mean,
Well, okay, if you didn't, then that means you got let go.
if you
If you didn't get the vaccine.
if you didn't get it, you got let go. If you did get it, you're getting let go anyway. Plus, you probably have side effects for life.
It's like worst case scenario.
Yeah. You didn't listen to all the conspiracy theorists. Speaking of conspiracy theorists, so my uncle thinks the med beds and the hollow chambers and everything's right around the corner.
Really?
You know, there might be some truth to it, dude. You know, he said some stuff that kind of like, you know, that kind of makes me think. You know, he seems to think that they're sitting on the technology. Do you think they're sitting on the technology? So he's claiming that there's med beds. That he's claiming that they have these beds that you can lay in, and it'll just heal you, whatever you got. And then he's even going as far to say that aside from med beds, you got, I guess they call them replicators, but they got these chambers that you can go into, and it'll do you up however you want. If you want different hair, if you want different eyes, if you want different, you know, bigger, you know, whatever.
So this is still you, but
it's modified appearance-wise.
It's like Severance.
It's like what?
Severance.
It's just like Severance. Yeah, he used the movie Elysium as it was the old one with I think Matt Damon, I think, where basically Earth was like a prison planet, and all the elites lived in the spaceships, and then the elites could go into the spaceship, and they had access to all the med beds and stuff. Where over on the prison planet Earth, you know, it's still old school. Like, oh yeah, that looks bad. Let me go chop it off, you know, stuff like that. So I think that just like anything, the truth is somewhere in between. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? So, like, let's say we're living in a hall. Let's say everything around us is an illusion, right? Not an illusion, but let's say everything's a simulation, right? Technically, something like that could exist if we're living in a simulation.
Yeah.
And then you just interface with the simulation, and then it's just like whatever, right? But, like, you know, okay, so let's say you could interface with a simulation. Or let's say there wasn't even a simulation or a simulation. Let's say you could actually go into these chambers, you can go into this thing, and you can get your cancer cured, or you can get your, you know, or you can even go for a physical healing, right? And be like, well, I don't like the way my nose looks or whatever. Would that necessarily make us better? Would that be exactly what we need?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You see, because my thought is that it's our physical limitations as humans that enable us to do what we can do. Right? The fact, because if you look at it, like all the great stories, everything that people did was based off of them addressing some type of like struggle or limitation that they had. Like, what was it? Beethoven was deaf. You know, Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, he was a dwarf. And he had to make up for it with his intellect. You know, Abraham Lincoln was very tall. You know, and therefore, because he was very tall, he was able to stand out. And that's what gave him the attention that he needed to exemplify his speaking abilities. Because if you notice, all the big leaders, they're all tall. Because you need to be tall to stand out for people to see you. And Abraham Lincoln was very tall. So what if he was younger and people were making fun of him because he was tall? So he just went into the chamber and shrunk himself by a few inches, you know, to a more manageable height. But then he wouldn't have been the great leader that he was. Maybe.
Well, then there would have been something else that he would have gotten bullied about. So no matter what, I think it still creates some kind of a issue. It's never perfect.
It's never perfect.
Right? So.
Right. Because you always find something wrong with it.
Yeah. And that means there's probably no empathy from people because now everybody's considered perfect.
Right.
how can people be empathetic towards others?
Right. If everybody's
It's-
trying to achieve perfection.
Yeah, and if everybody looks the same,
Right.
then there's nothing to.
So if everybody's perfect in looks and everybody has an AI hooked up to their brain, so they look perfect and they know everything,
There's
then what are we doing?
right. There's no free will of their own life.
Exactly.
So, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I mean,
Is this a new frontier we're going to have to address?
yeah. But in everything, there's always like drama, right? There always has to be some kind of drama.
Right.
If we don't have that, then yeah, there's nothing to live for. There's nothing to like, nothing to motivate us, nothing to strive for. Yeah, there's just it's unlivable.
It's unlivable. It's almost unlivable to a certain degree.
So why do we want to create?
So
something
like when I was in San Jose during some of the best years of my life, even when I was in training with the Air Force, I had a leg injury, so I had to fight through that pain.
Yeah.
And it took like 10 years to get rid of that pain. And when I got rid of that, I do things now because I'm grateful for the time that I'm able to do it, because I remember what it was like not being able to do it, not having a leg that was good, hurting to move. And I remember that, and that's what motivates me to do it. But if nobody had that struggle, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in that case, there's definitely that. I guess the original question, though, was that, does this technology exist? Is it actually out there?
I think it exists for the wealthy. Because you have to have the money to be able to afford that type of life, that type of, I don't know, I mean, just that
luxury. It's
luxury.
it's like the next level of plastic surgery.
Yeah.
You go in and we'll target it, and then it's gone.
Right. And right now, it seems like, yeah, you have cancer, but they always say, oh, if you have the money, you can probably cure it.
Right.
But cancer is not like that, though. It's actually, it doesn't have a preference of, oh, you're rich, so you're not going to be able to, you're not going to get cancer.
Right,
we're
exactly.
Cure you.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it seems like it's quite the opposite. It seems like all the rich people are the ones getting cancer.
And there's no cure.
And there's no cure.
Right.
Yeah, once you got it, you got it.
So I think the life lesson is money doesn't solve everything.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone is stricken with an ailment or a life-threatening illness, it's so that they can turn themselves around. It's almost like in your next life, what are you going to do?
Right.
Based off of what you learned in this life.
Yeah.
And my dad always said that. It's like, you have to do better in this life so that you can correct everything that you've done in your past life.
Right.
So in your next life, what would you do differently?
Exactly.
So, and maybe you in your next life you go backwards. Like let's say you have more ailments, but then you have to also reflect, like, what did I do in my past life, in this life, that caused this?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
I understand.
So, I don't think AI necessarily is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's certain part of us, I think it's a tool like anything else. I think there's a certain degree. I think anybody who wants to know the answer should be able to find it through research. But it's dangerous to have the knowledge, but you don't have the institutional know-how to how to implement it.
Right.
And you don't know the cause and effect of implementing it, right? So, for example, I ran into a social issue that I actually used ChatGPT to help address. And it was actually with my play group, playing cards. And so what happened was that this is a group that, I meet up with every weekend, and, it's the same people, we have our play styles, we meet up. It's supposed to be a recreational game, even though nowadays, because of the cost of the cards have gone up and it's gotten a little exploitative.
Yeah.
it's like starting to stir up emotions. Like it's kind of evolved. Like this isn't like Bazooka Joe trading cards that you're trying to get.
Yeah.
Like this stuff is tangible. Like it's almost an addiction, to be honest with you. But we play, and so there's a member of our play group who got real aggressive with me while we were playing, and it kind of spilled out into real life after the game, where he's like texting me. He's sending a wall of text to me, like da 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 da. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, what is going on with this guy? Because it just seemed very odd. So what I did was I asked ChatGPT. I took the text message that he sent and I posted it to ChatGPT. I was like, what's going on here? Is he unhinged or what's going on? So they asked me some background questions, and I answered it. Well, this is how we usually play. This is his play style. This is my play style. This is what I think happened. 9 times out of 10, up and down 6 ways from Sunday, I would have swore the guy was just having a bad day, just lost his temper, just had a bad day, whatever. AI told me that's not what it was. It said what it was doing was he was utilizing a very highly advanced play style where he was trying to manifest effects of the cards onto the game state without actually playing those cards. He didn't have those cards, so he was making up for the absence of those cards, or his ability to not be able to play them, in his attitude and social dynamics, and in him influencing the other players. So by him being aggressive, increasing the magnitude of the responses, and sometimes going out for all-out attacks, what he's doing is he's manifesting the effects from us as if that card was actually out in play.
That's deep.
They said it, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, no, this is exactly what this guy is doing. Because after I thought about it, it made sense. It made sense. It made sense why he was acting the way he was. And it told me the big giveaway was that he kept escalating when I would go back. Because the other guys, they were kind of cowed down by him, But me, I don't really cow down. I'm just like, hey, I have a right to speak. So I went back, and I wasn't really falling for it.
Yeah.
So what happened was the wheels started kind of coming off the wagon a little bit during the first game. But then the second game, I pulled out my Eldrazi deck, and the whole idea, I know, right? Well, no. So like in all seriousness, right? Like this was like these are like higher level cards, right? Like the whole idea with like the Eldrazi deck. First of all, this deck was probably like, if you took all the individual cards in it, it's probably like about $1,000 deck. If you take all so all the humor just went out the window, right? Because we're talking like, okay, so if you take like the idea of the Eldrazi's and who they are and what they symbolize, they're kind of like Eldritch Horror, kind of like manifestations that you can't bargain with them. They just consume everything. They just show up and they're just kind of like this manifestation of like the vacuum of the void that consumes everything. You can't do anything about it. So I played that Eldrazi deck, and I just swept the table, and they couldn't do anything about it. Like even after they came up with like the alliance, like, hey, we're going after him, they still couldn't do anything. I had the total board state locked down, which is exactly more accurate what the Eldrazi do.
Is this when the flip the table comes into play? You put them in their corner so they flip the table.
I mean, David didn't. I just gave it away. He didn't quite flip the table. I think he would have been better off if he did flip the table. No. He didn't flip the table. He did something which he considered even worse. He had to concede, which for him, he realized that nothing he did would help. He couldn't do anything. It was inevitability, which is what the Eldrazi represent.
Yeah.
So then we went to the third game,
and there's already
and
bitterness.
he just went off the wagon. I mean, he just doubled and tripled down, almost to a point where I was like, "You're being a little toxic." You know, hey, you're being a little toxic. He's like, "No, man, you're fucking toxic."
So wait, did you not even finish the third game? Because
We played 4 games. Yeah, the third game, it went really off the rails. And the fourth game, I think we barely finished. I thought he was gonna scoop, but yeah. And then no, fourth game I had to leave because the fourth game they targeted me, and they took me out like right before I even had a chance to assemble to play the game.
So all's fair, right? Because
Well,
that's
you
how the
would
game is.
think so.
Yeah.
Except then he's texted me after I get home saying, "Hey, I'm not invited back to the play group."
Aw. I need to learn how to play.
Don't. It's too late.
Oh.
The game's too far advanced.
Good.
Can't believe we're finishing this off talking about my stupid cards. Okay.
They're very expensive cards. I know. How expensive
Do you
they
think
are.
I'm trying to brag about how expensive they are?
No, I just know. Because I make purchases too.
You do buy them, yeah. And then we're hoping that $50 turns into $150, which it kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun part, is
Yeah.
to see what's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding out that that's what happens.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with these Innistrad Remastered collector boosters that I bought.
And I got you too.
You got me 2 of the Omega packs, which I haven't opened yet. I've got 4 of the boxes, which are 12 packs apiece. So the idea, the prices are stabilized, which is good because the product is still out. Now, I'm afraid that, no, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything, but the prices have stabilized. So what I'm hoping for is that after the product is out of print, that they'll just go up, like they usually do. Ravnica Remastered did. Yeah. Now, I think the change that I'm seeing right now this year with these boxes is that I think people are they can't afford it. So I think even with reduced print run, people can't afford it. So, like Modern Horizons 3, when that came out, that sold out immediately. Like you couldn't. The only way you could buy it is if you bought 6 at a time. You know, but other than that, you weren't getting singles, you weren't getting Omega packs, nothing. That stuff was off the shelf. Innistrad Remastered was kind of a big hit, like Ravnica, like Modern Horizons 3, or it should have been, but there's packs still around.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few things going on. I think people are FOMOing a little bit. They're doing fear of missing out. So I think that. Well, I might be FOMO because I picked up 4, but then if I had just waited, I could have picked up 6 at the price that I bought 4 at, because the prices dropped. Well, no, I would have been able to pick up 5.5 at the price of what I bought 4 for. So you know, so I paid close to $1,200 for 4 boxes. If I had held off, I would have been able to pick up 6 of them for
Close to that.
for $14.50.
Yeah.
So $250. So I would have gotten a box for free if I had just held off on it. But I thought they were all going to sell out.
Yeah.
Which they should have sold out, except that I think people are getting a little broke. Now Final Fantasy just came out, or Final Fantasy just got announced. And the prices on the Final Fantasy product are just
skyrocket.
Dude, it's through the roof. We're talking about, I think that's the stuff that's really going to be FOMO. So, Final Fantasy, it's something we're going to have to be strategic with if we acquire it. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the old cards. I think this is the year, so I have a big collection. And I think what I need to do is I need to start converting that collection to either cash or store credit. so I can position myself to pick up the Final Fantasy product when it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about Final Fantasy being like $700 a box,
Oh my god.
a collector's box.
Oh,
They're talking about the play boosters, which you only get 30 packs in a box. They're talking about that being like 400 a piece. Like,
so what does that mean for someone that's picking it up at Target?
I mean, Target's probably going to have the markup. So where this is coming in at is that they had the pre-release, the pre-sale. Best Buy, GameStop, it's all sold out. It's sold out within seconds.
Oh, wow.
And then that was the final price. So if you look at like what Final Fantasy is going for, well, I'm not going to pick it up, but so what happened was it went up and now it went back down. It went from like you're talking about like between 5 and 1,000. Like you're talking like going down a little bit. It's still like going from high sevens to like from like low sevens to like high sixes. Like it's ridiculous. Like how out of control the prices are getting.
And it's not even out yet.
It's not even out yet. You still have like a whole set that needs to come out. Aether Drip just came out. The Kanzatar Cure is coming out, and then Final Fantasy is coming out.
What do I do?
Huh?
What do I do?
There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do except be patient and see what happens. You know? So that's reality.
Okay.
Okay. Good talk.
Good talk.
Okay.
Next week, I
See
won't
ya.
have my pinky injured anymore.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll check in next week. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.